Okay, guys, it's kind of raining out here on me, but I wasn't going to film this job, and I'll tell you guys why in a second. But it's raining on me now out of nowhere, and I'm getting everything wet. So let me cover this up, and let's get in the garage, and I'll show you guys why. But I do want to note why I'm out here before it starts raining real bad. As far as cleaning this surface, it don't have to be shining. It don't have to be shining. This is smooth. This is really smooth, although it doesn't look it. Don't have to shine. You don't want to move material from this head. You just want to clean it up with some breaking box cleaner and use a putty knife. Putty knife. A firm one that's pretty firm. A firm putty knife. And what else I want to know while I'm out here? These injector rails. Do not take time to mess with these lines. They're a nightmare coming off, especially on this older of a truck. This truck is a 2000. Just remove the 4 bolts. And I'll show you guys that in a second in detail. Remove the 4 bolts and pull the injectors out of the intake. That's it. Just pull the injectors out of the intake and move them to the side like I got it. So don't waste your time. You'll spend much time removing those lines than removing this intake. I guarantee it. I've done this multiple times. I deal with Fords all day long. I've had a ton of 5.4. I know these engines backwards. So yeah, I'm getting water in the intake. So let me cover this up. Let me cover the car up because it's raining on me. And it's about to come down even harder. So let's get in the garage. Okay, guys, we're in the garage. Here's both intakes. I'm gonna go over a couple of things of both of them. And this is really my first time dealing with the aftermarket version of this. I've always bought the OEM. I've changed these quite a few times, but I paid the extra money for the OEM version on some earlier Fords that I had and some people cars I've worked on. I always recommend to get the Ford OEM part. Well, I ordered it. I ordered this first. I want to do a different video than all the ones that was online. My goal was to kind of show both parts. So I bought both of them. I bought this first, and I bought them hand in hand. I bought this one first. I purchased this one first, and I bought the OEM one. I bought the OEM from 3 dealerships that told me that the part was in stock, only to the next day me getting a full refund. I'm going to show you guys that information. Like, I'll insert it right now so you guys can see the different refunds I was receiving. Every other morning I wake up, there's a different refund for this part, the OEM version. Guys, if you look at the price on this part, this is the OEM part. It used to average around $350. I bought multiple ones, and to see it significantly lower, and it's cheaper than the Dorman part, about $50 more than the aftermarket part that I bought that's selling really well. And I'll put that. Well, I'll show you guys that in a second. But my theory behind this is they purposely lowered the OEM part to clear inventory. I've talked to 4 techs, and they were just adamant about this part possibly not coming back in stock. There's no resupply date for this part. It's on a national back order, and the reason I purchased it from 3 different Ford dealerships was because I was told that they had it in stock, and only to get a refund the next day. And they checked all the inventories of all the Fords. It was just like 3 different Fords. 2 parts was in California, and another one was, I think, in Ohio. But none of them had the parts. The stock was off. It wasn't. It said that they had the parts available, but they weren't available. But my theory behind all this, guys, is that they purposely did this, and that this part would never get made again. They just gave it over to the aftermarket world. And it's the old part. Been out probably since 97, 98. I don't know. I believe that's when they started making that intake for those engines. But yeah, I think they're not bringing it back purposely. Just think they're gearing all that energy towards the EV world. It's all about EVs now, not gasoline engines. That's my theory. I highly recommend using OEM parts if you can afford them. You spend extra money, especially with something of this magnitude of a job. You change the part out. This vehicle is the year 2000, and it's lasted this long. Although the gases are bad, they're showing signs of a possible coolant leak soon. That's cracked right there. And it wasn't leaking coolant yet, but it was on the verge of leaking coolant. But I didn't film the video due to the OEM part came out of stock. So I just started taking things apart. I'm like, I'm not going to film it because I can't do it how I want to do it. Like I said, my goal was to show the OEM version brand new here next to this version and show you guys the difference and recommend what I believe is best for different applications. Like for my plow truck, this will be kind of great for my plow truck due to I don't drive it much like that. But when I'm driving, putting in a ton of work, I've heard some things about this, and I got friends that work on cars that use this part multiple times. Although they haven't had issues, a couple of them had issues with them with coolant leaking. And they say these gaskets are not the best. And we'll go over them in a second. We'll get to those gaskets underneath in a second. So that's what prevented me from filming the video. However, yesterday I thought about some things that I can share with this video. I can share some light on some tips, some things that I've done in the past through experience, and kind of give light on this new component that's they're pushing. This is on a national back order. I'm almost positive. I can say I was on the phone with a couple Ford guys yesterday. There's no date, no resupply date in the system. There's no resupply date in the system because they're not going to resupply it. They're leaving it to the aftermarket person. You know why? Because EVs are becoming popular. They're really trying to get away from the gasoline engine. They're pushing EVs. Why they want to make this product first came out in, I believe, 97. I don't know. This is an older product. Why keep pushing this product when they're not making any money off of it? They lowered these things to $150. You see them everywhere at Ford dealerships for $158, especially they went on sale just to wipe out inventory, knowing the fact that they weren't going to resupply them. I just strongly believe they're not going to make these anymore. This is the OEM version of this is extinct. It's not going to be produced anymore. They're letting Dorman and these other off brands. This is not a Dorman. This is another off brand. I'll show you guys. This is identical to Dorman. This is identical to Dorman's product. Same torque values. It shows everything. It's identical product made from the same manufacturer. It's just Dorman has their brand, and I believe it's stamped with Dorman on it, opposed to this brand. So let's go over a few things. I don't want to drag this video out. I just want to show you guys some key components that you may want to look at, or when you're dealing with this. It comes with these self-tapping screws, which sucks because these do have, although this is broken, they have brass fittings everywhere, all even in here. I believe in different applications there's a cover or something mounted over this because on the F250 and F350 there's nothing here, as you guys can see here. And you wonder why they gave us so many screws, because they actually gave you screws for these, for that different application, because this covers a wide range of applications. And of course they have a fitting here for the temperature sensor and another fitting here for another hose. Well, my application don't use that fitting. However, it does use a temperature sensor, which is here. It's an 18 millimeter. I mean, it's a 19 millimeter or 3/4. They both fit pretty much the same. Look at that. Not much play. You can use some Teflon tape when you're going back with it, or I'm going to use this. I don't need no Teflon tape. That's pretty good to seal it in here without it leaking. And what else I want to note before I go over all these components? As far as the engine, when you remove this, clean under there. Do not remove the spark plugs. Remove the spark plugs last after you get through cleaning. Don't spray any air down the hose. You don't have to do that unless you have if you have a powerful vac. That's perfect. I have a very powerful vac. Let me show you guys. I have an extremely powerful vac here, and this thing is a beast. So I use this. It's a wet dry vac. I use it to suck down in there. When I remove this intake, I use the vac to suck down in there, get all the larger debris from out of the way. Of course, there was so much stuff, a possible mice nest under there. You're probably gonna see the same thing. And like I said, I just got this truck, so I'm just trying to get it up to par, make it run great, so I can just use it for a road truck. But clean all the debris out with a vacuum cleaner and leave the spark plugs in there. But I highly recommend you change them. It's a must. If they've been in there as long as these, I believe these was the factory spark plugs. Change them. It's a must that you change them. I'll put the link in the description box for this little kit for the Motorcraft spark plugs and some aftermarket coils. Just replace this since you're saving money buying this part. Change out the spark plugs. Change them out. You can also use a little anti-seize on these spark plugs. Just a dab on each one of the threads. This stuff, I love this stuff. It goes a long way. This stuff is important. This stuff is great. The spark plug gap is 0.52 to 0.56, but these are gapped at 0.54, which is perfect. At the end of this video, I'll show you guys, I have the software for this vehicle, and I'll show you guys all the information. I also got the book, but the software shows more technical stuff as far as all the torque specs for every aspect of that engine or that vehicle, every aspect of that vehicle. So I'll scroll the torque specs down on my software so you guys can see all the torque specs, and we'll also look at the sequence, the torque sequence for this, and the mounting sequence. But I want to note, make sure you leave the spark plugs in while you're cleaning that area out. You can take some sharp rags and stuff down in those ports while you're cleaning. After you remove this and vacuum it, get all the larger debris out, make sure it's clear. Remove the old gaskets. Use some braking products cleaner on the surface. Let it sit for a minute. Just spray it good. And like I said, use that putty knife, that firm putty knife to clean that surface. You don't have to use no sandpaper or anything. Just take your time with the putty knife and it will come clean. And just and use some more just to finalize it, and use a microfiber cloth to wipe it, and you're fine. You don't have to be shiny. And another thing I want to note, just trying to hit across all the pointers. I don't want to leave anything out. Of course, we're going to switch over these brackets here. This bracket here, I'm going to do all that. And try not to leave anything out, guys. I want to make sure I'm knowing everything. It's important for me to show that much. Also change out your PCV valve. It's here. Some pliers to break this loose, come off. And I'll show you guys how that works on the aftermarket one. And just trying to note the things that not visible right now, the things that you may incur once doing this job or this swap out, since we're pretty much stuck with this. Despite the negative reviews, these things are heavily tested before going to the market. Like I said, it's not OEM, but if installed correctly, they will last some time. You may not get 23 years from it, but you'll get many years. You'll get quite a few years off of this without possible leaks or replacing those gaskets. Oh, also want to note, when you remove the screws from this, and let me show you the holes, there's 11 screws. There's one here, one there, one there, one there, one there, one there, here, there, there, two here. They're longer, they're larger screws. Here's one of them. So I want to note, when you remove those screws, it's very important to take a magnet and remove them away from the intake. I've seen cases years ago, someone left the screws in and lift this thing up out of there, and one of the screws fell off in the intake into the lower intake, which was a nightmare. You want to stay away from that. You don't want them problems. So take a magnet and remove every bolt before removing this intake. Remove every bolt. You can leave the coils in, because I left them in, just put the whole thing up. You see I didn't unbolt them, just snatched the whole thing up. I've done it this way every single time I've done this job, because I always replace the coils. Always, whenever I've done this job. Yeah, you want to add some dielectric grease also to the boot of these coils, just a little bit at the boot of these coils before installing the new coils. Before we move over to this, also, you're going to run into a problem with, if it's been on there for a while, you're going to run into a problem like this. A lot of the 10mm bolts, although sitting firmly on there with a 10mm socket, 6-point socket, 10mm, perfect 10mm socket, not no cheap one either. This is Craftsman. They're stripped out because they're in there. They're really in that intake pretty good. So they're going to strip out. I stripped out 4 heads. What helped me get them out? You would think you possibly can have a chance have a 12-point 10mm to help you out, or you can maybe tap a 3/8" socket on there. No, this thing is incredible. I bought these for like my 25th birthday. They're made by Irwin. These are years ago. I got the package. I keep them in a package, but I've had these for a long time, and these are amazing. Although you'll find other brands just like these, but I've never had any issues. These things, I got 100% success rate with these removing stripped out bolts. 100% success rate, and I've been using these for years. Let me show you the set. Here's another size. I believe this is for 8mm. So here's the package that I bought these in years ago. I've had 100% success rate with these things, guys. And I've used a million tools. Look at the date on them. Trying to find a part number. If I can find them online, I'll put it in the. I'll scroll across the screen now. So this is what you need. An extension. Let me get a short extension to show you comparable. This is like the standard first step extension. This is the second step. So you want an extension with the 10 millimeter and tap it down and take a hammer, turn the hammer sideways because you don't got much space. You want to get in there like this, turn it sideways, tap it down on there, make sure it's firmly on there, and it's a guaranteed, 100% guaranteed rate to screw directly off. I don't care how tight this bolt in there, it's coming off. So I wanted to note that. And let's go over to this. These are self-tapping holes. You want to start these self-tapping screws while this is out. You want to get them started. You don't have to drill them all the way in. Just get them started so it make it easier for you to install the fuel rail or the coils once this is installed in the vehicle. So these are 10 millimeter. Got it right there. These are 9/32 or 7 millimeter. We don't need this. There's an O-ring here. The O-ring goes on here. Like so. Without this O-ring, it won't lock in this port. I'm not gonna lock it in yet, but you can see it goes in like so. See those two notches? You aim them in exactly that way. And two notches. And twist it. Put a little oil on it and I'll twist it in. Let me show you guys how to lock it in place real quick. So I got a little engine oil in the top. Stick my pinky finger in there. Let's push it down in there now. Gotta push down firm. Gotta push down firmly, and now we're locked in. That's where this hose go. Here, so we're gonna break it off there and put it on here. As far as the thermostat, this kit comes with a thermostat as well. Drop the thermostat in. This housing, O-ring, no oil required, just like that, and it seals itself. This mates on it. This is some extra. I got a lot of extra parts for this motor. That's the one that came off the vehicle. Just got a lot of extra parts for this car. I had some brand new injectors laying around too. I'll show you guys that in a second. Here's some brand new injectors that I took out of a vehicle a few years back, maybe 6 years ago, and they were new. They were like new. The motor had locked up on the vehicle, and I took the injectors out, and PCV valve was new, and I just cleaned them with some carbon throttle body cleaner. If you're gonna go back with your old injectors, use this stuff. This stuff is amazing. Use this stuff to clean the injectors. All you wanna do is clean out where it's sprayed. That's it. I'll clean these a little bit more. That's why I got them in here. I'll just spray them with this. And just clean them off before I install them. So I'm not going back with the old ones. I know these for a fact these are like new, these aftermarket ones. And also had a thermostat as well for this. This one's still in here. Yes, you see it sticking up. But this is what seals it. This wedges this gasket for a seal. I just clean it a little bit more and put that on. Not worried about that right now. That's gonna be the last thing we're gonna do. Let me show you guys as far as the self-tapping screws. Let's get a couple started. Okay, I'll do the other side in a second. Just wanted to show you guys that. The reason, you can skip this step. You don't have to do this. The reason I'm doing it, because I want these self-tapping screws to go in straight. I don't want to go in crooked. They easy going crooked, and you don't want them to impale this surface or come out a different angle. So, and finally, let's talk about these gaskets. I've read reviews about these gaskets not being the best and possibly replacing them. They're embedded in this new design opposed to this one. Let me show you guys. When I ordered the first OEM intake, I ordered the gaskets right after, and you guys can see them now, but I don't have an OEM intake. So just have these to the side. In the event I need them for something, maybe the F-350, my plow truck. I may just have them to the side. If I did want to just swap out the intake. If I inspect the intake on that vehicle, it only has 120-some thousand miles. If I inspect it, when I inspect the intake on that one, the OEM intake, if it looks good, I'll just replace the gaskets and keep the intake. If you want a better gasket, I guess you can get these separate from this. Maybe get a Felpro. I don't know how good these gaskets are. They look pretty good. Like I said, they're embedded in this design. I guess that's the pros with this, because they do have embedded gaskets already, and it has the gasket for the throttle body already embedded. They're not falling out either. Oh, I also want to know, this is a Allen key, 8mm Allen socket to remove this fitting. And I guess I'll be using this on the threads, but you can use some Teflon tape if you like. So I just want to know those things in closing. I'll put the link in the description box for this set. This is $100 for the Motorcraft spark plugs and the aftermarket coils. This is the Dorman one is almost a couple $100, if not a couple $100 at the parts stores, but these are selling like crazy. These are $100, $108, shipped to the house, free delivery, free shipping for this brand. And this is exactly like the Dorman, no different. Yes, I'll close it out now with all the torque specs for this and torque sequences. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys found it helpful. Subscribe to the channel if you do like the content I'm posting. At the end of this, just watch all the torque specs and the torque sequences go across.